Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to the show tonight. We have a good one here as we have race number 2 of the Checkered Flag Auto Supplies here tonight. These drivers take on the Rockingham Speedway for 90 laps. And tonight, as you can see out on track, is the Xfinity cars. So these drivers gonna have a handful here tonight as these cars not the easiest to drive, pretty right front and somewhat right rear dependent, and this track loves to chew up both those tires here. So we are gonna see who can manage their stuff and keep their race cars underneath them, as last week we saw James Skelton in the next gen series at Phoenix picking up the win, so that locks Skelton into the playoffs. We will try and find out who the rest of the field will be made up if we get a new winner. They too lock themselves into those playoffs here tonight. Right now, looking at the times, we'll go take a look at them at the left side of the screen as we come to a close here in practice with about 30 seconds left. Best time of 24.57 going to Chris Hammett. Next is Max Terriel in the 42 machine with a 5.8, so right there close. Then a little bit further back, Zach Mitchell in the 8 machine, rounding out the top 3. You can see the top 24 scrolling through here tonight, as it's going to be a fun one. 90 laps, not the shortest, not the longest race, so it's really going to come down to driver preference and some strategy. As we wrap up practice, no one dethrones Hammett there, so he will walk away with the best time in practice. We'll see if he can duplicate that now come in qualifying time. As we get qualifying ready to rock and roll here on the Speedway, we will see who is the first car to head out on the track and pick them on up here. As it looks like we'll take a look at the timing and scoring to get updated on the qualifying times. Not having the right shots here tonight of qualifying, so we will take a look, wait patiently on the left side of the screen, see who will walk away with the pole. A little bit with the points and scoring here with this series. So with that playoff bubble, only I believe 10 races in the regular season, so we are going to have to try and figure out who else can point their way in, because even if we get 10 different winners, let's say, through the season, it still leaves 3 spots for the points. So winning a race is 40 points from there on down, single point difference throughout the field, but there is some bonus points to be had. Leading a lap get you a bonus point. Leading the most laps will get you another point, and then actually getting the W, getting the win at the end of the night, will also give you 3 bonus points. So not only are you locked in, but sitting pretty in the point side of things if you do pick up a win. Right now on the left side of the screen, Chris Hammett only good enough for P number 2 at the moment, as it looks like Ethan Troutman in the 62 out in front. Right now, top 3, all part of the Ford Mustangs, then 2 Chevys with Peyton Johnson and Doug Neal, as now Eric Stout in a Toyota jumping on here. So Stout good enough for P3. Looks like Zach Mitchell jumping up there, now dethroning Stout for P number 3. So looks like at the top, though, Troutman continuing to have the best time to beat a 24.64. Looks like so far 15 cars have taken a lap as Sean Butler jumps up to P number 5 in that 88 machine. As we take a look, it looks like not too many other cars out on track here. So 15 cars continuing to take a lap of, I believe, the 26 that showed up here in total. So another great car count. These guys do an awesome job here with the Red Light Racing Checkered Flag Scrambler Series. Of course, some of the sponsors that make this thing happen here over with the Red Light Racing crew. And if you want to find out more information about this league, be sure to check them out. They got a website, Red Light Racing. Will get you in the right direction. A quick Google search if you want to be part of the racing action. But we got to, of course, thank who makes it all possible over here for Red Light. That, of course, being Checkered Flag Auto Supplies, Celeratus Legal with the pit road walk, which we'll do here in about 30 seconds. The Feeney Call, the white flag sponsor here tonight. And then, of course, the Claws Up Charters for the post-race show. So you'll get a peek at all of those. Hopefully this time, if I don't forget the Feeney Call one to go, a little graphic we have. So we hope not to do that this time. But right now, Max Terriel in that 42 machine puts it to the top of the board. So congrats to Max. He will be leading the field to the green flag. That 42 machine looks like they brought another rocket ship here tonight to Rockingham. Alrighty, folks, 90 laps. These drivers getting ready to rock and roll for the Celeratus Legal starting lineup. Max Therial in the 42 machine, that black number 42. I have a feeling we'll see him towards the front. He will lead the field to green. To his outside will be the 62 of Ethan Troutman. Then row number 2 to the inside will be that black and orange number 6 machine of Chris Hammett. To his outside will be that red and white number 8 of Zach Mitchell. Then we head back to P number 5, our first Toyota on the starting grid. It is the 12 machine of Eric Stout. To his outside, the first Chevy then will go to the 88 machine of Sean Butler. Rolling off P number 7 will be Sean Single in the 11 machine, with Jeffrey Souza in the number 4, rolling off 8th. 9th going to Peyton Johnson in the 15th, with rounding out the top 10 will be Doug Neal. 11th will be Ryan O'Danny in the 98 machine, with Richard Murdoch in the 01 machine rolling off 12th. Then we head back a little bit further, rolling off P number 13 will be the 17 machine of Tim Combs. To his outside will be the 38 of Brandon Feeney. Then row number 8, rolling off 15th, will be Ken Allen in the 81. To his outside, the number 9 machine of William Kirk in the 9. Ben Colton in the 45 machine rolls off 17th. 18th is my name there, but we should not be there. So we head to 19th of Jason Wells. Rounding out the top 20 will be the 13 machine of Josh Buckley. Then 21st going to Roger Muth in the 39 machine. To his outside his buddy Donald Bennett in the 31, rolling off 22nd. 23rd going to Rob Higgins. 24th going to Bob Higgins. Then the final 2 starters the final starter here tonight, starting shotgun on the field, will be Tony Strano in the number 3 machine. That will do it for the Celeratus starting lineup as we try and pick up the field and we get ready to go to green flag racing action here tonight from the Rockingham Speedway. Off of turn number 4, the field comes Terrio on the loud pedal. One car, big time tire spin. I believe that was Chris Hammett all out of sorts. Luckily, Hammett able to keep that car rolling in the right direction, but big time stack ups behind, as I believe Sean Single losing a ton of spots with that. Single gets a little tap from O'Danny there. Wow, we're already getting off to some crazy stuff here, but it looks like we will complete lap number 1 under the green flag, as we are no shortage of racing action battles on the Speedway. Top 5 have single file down out with the first real battle looking at here between Peyton Johnson and Jeff Souza. Souza last week having a great race, ended up finishing runner-up, hoping to have another night like that again. It's one car way out of sorts. That is O'Danny. He will make hard contact with that pit wall, and O'Danny bringing out the first yellow flag in the night with some significant contact here. We're gonna go see it one time here under full speed, and looks like just got the back end to step out from underneath him, trying to keep it low, and that thing just quite didn't hook up with the wheel he had in, slid right down. And you know the old saying, folks, you hit what you're looking at, and I'm sure O'Danny not meaning to look right at those barrels, but it's hard to look away when you're sliding right towards him, and O'Danny makes big time contact with that 98 machine into that pit wall. So under the yellow flag for the first time here tonight, and I tell you what, I don't think we'll see any takers down pit road. Maybe some guys in the back to take some tire, or not tires, but at least fuel to try and top it on off. First driver with this strategy, Sean Butler from inside the top 5, as it looks like Brandon Feeney also down on pit road. He will probably have the same strategy in mind. This guy though, Brandon Feeney, he can wheel anything, has driven anything you could think of on the pavement side in real life. He has jumped behind the wheel of, and he's doing some more jumping behind the wheel of different cars here with this Scrambler series. So it looks like about 3 cars down on pit road. The other car that joins him is Jason Wells with that strategy. So not a popular one. We'll see how it shakes on out by the end of it. As this time by, I believe we should see the lights go out on the iRacing pace car. We'll double them back up, re-rack, restack, and get ready to go back to green flag racing action. As just kidding, we get another pace lap. So that time by, we get 2 to green, I'm hearing from race control. So we will see if anyone is around. Looks like maybe not. So no words from anyone else, but a extra long pit stop, or coming in for another time, is the 3 of Tony Strano. Bob Higgins also down, and looks like Jason Wells down for another time in the 64 machine. And with how crazy that start was the first time, these drivers further in the back could be trying to get some optional repairs done to their cars, since they know they're already back there, get some of that damage fixed, because we saw a very hectic start there. We'll have to see what kind of restart we get for the first time here tonight. So Terrio out in front leading the way. Zach Mitchell up 2 spots. He's up to P number 2. Ethan Troutman falling back to 3rd. 4th is Eric Stout in this number 12 machine. And then Chris Hammett falling all the way back to 5th with that wheel spin on the start. We'll have to see if Hammett can get a better start, be able to put that power down a little bit better in this number 6 Ford Mustang. Alrighty, we head through 3 and 4, of course, as you can see and tell. These guys re-racked, restacked, ready to rock and roll. Terrio leading the way down low. Mitchell gonna try and time the restart perfect. iRacing pace car making the hard left-hand turn down pit road. Now we wait for the 42 on the loud pedal here. He will wait to the very end. Jump on it, one car out of sorts. Eric Stout, he will hook hard to the right. He will lose a ton of spots by the time they dive down into turn number 1. So it seems like whatever it is with that about 3rd line or so, it is very hard to put the power down as we have one car stopped on the backstretch here. Oh man, big time damage to the 01 machine of Richard Murdoch. We're going to try and figure out what happened to bring out now our second yellow right after that first one. So we see Eric Stout up here on the top side. I believe we'll have to see if he is involved. Maybe not, as we head back a little bit further. Richard Murdoch already hard into that outside wall there off of turn number 2, and then with him probably being in the wall, you know, way down on pace. And yeah, it looks like Eric Stout having no time to react, gets big time contact into the left rear, and then it looks like, wow, Josh Buckley with the wreck avoidance of a lifetime here. Buckley, I think, getting a little bit of damage, but we got to ride on board with Buckley here at, we'll do half speed and see what Buckley saw here off of turn number 2 as he sees that car and he has to chase it all the way down, and you can see in the mirror up at the top right those cars making hard contact into that inside wall behind. So it looks like Murdoch, Stout with heavy damage from this second yellow. I believe Buckley having a little. Roger Muth, maybe. We'll have to see. That car looking pretty clean, so the 39 looking all right. Out in front, though, do we see any more gamblers here tonight? As it looks like no, maybe people betting on a few more yellows by the time it's all said and done. I'm going to go look for a minute here. I'm going to go see if we can real quick dial up that 13 machine. You know, he had that very close wreck here, and we're going to see if we can get on board with him here and see if we can catch a word with Josh Buckley, see what he saw. Hey Josh, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Yes, sir. What's going on?
Alrighty, man. Gotta ask, some crazy wreck avoidance there. How'd you manage to predict there, and how'd you shoot that gap just as it closed?
Thankfully Richard there said his screen froze or something, so he didn't know where he was, and I saw him in front of me and just figured as far away as possible. Got a little bit of damage, but nothing too crazy, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how's the car feeling? We saw you get a little piece of that inside wall. Is this thing feeling all right?
I think so. We'll see. Just hopefully that's the worst that we have to see for Rex tonight.
Yeah, hopefully, as we've had 2 quick ones, but all it takes is probably handful of laps. Everyone gets strung out, and we'll probably go green for a while. What's the game plan here, Josh?
Well, everyone's getting squirrely on the restart, so keep it straight on the restart, and just hopefully we'll file out and get going.
Alrighty, Josh. Well, before we let you go, I'm going to go let you give a quick shout out to anyone you need here on the broadcast.
Just thank you to you for the broadcast and everybody coming out, and hopefully we'll have some fun tonight.
Alrighty, sounds good, Josh. Good luck.
Thank you.
Alrighty, that was Josh Buckley here at the front. Max Terriel on the loud pedal. We go back to green flag racing action here at the Rock. Side by side for a moment there in 1 and 2 for the race lead, but now Mitchell on the top side might leave the door open for Troutman, but Mitchell gets away with a great run on the top side. He's able to clear. Then battle for third. Chris Hammett trying to regain third. He has Ethan Troutman to the inside. Looks like Troutman might say, you know what, boys, you can push these tires. I'll take it easy. Run this inside lane. You want to go around me, you got to do it the long way. As that exactly what Peyton Johnson is doing right here in that neon green number 15 machine. Johnson leading the way now. Sean Single will file on the top side. They might bring along one of the rookies here this season, William Kirk, in this number 9 Miller Lite machine. So Troutman definitely going for the long run strategy, as in really backing up the corners, putting this thing down on this inside lane and not letting it walk off from that, because I tell you what, folks, this will be the key here at Rockingham. If I remember what track we're at, would be nice. As Rockingham, you got to be really gentle to these cars. Even though these corners can take a lot, you can really hustle this car around. You don't want to do that here when it comes race time. You want to stick as long as you can to that inside lane and try and put as little wheel in at a time. As we see the 9 machine of Kirk trying to make the move on Single. Single able to defend in the 11. Out in front, Terrio trying to open up a half a second lead over Zach Mitchell. Then Chris Hammett third, fourth Peyton Johnson. Then now fifth Sean Single with Kirk right on the back bumper. We jump on board with Single and watch this pressure he will feel from Kirk. Kirk really good here through 3 and 4, so we'll see if he can do that. Didn't get the best 1 and 2, and now maybe he comes Troutman. Troutman might say it is go time, but you can see how difficult this track is, how bouncy these cars are off of turn number 4, and then here into turn number 1, kind of like going in a roller coaster. Not too much banking on braking, but then kind of jump into the corner, and then off of turn number 2, this wall comes up very, very fast, folks. It's kind of hard to see, especially on a broadcast, but in the car, man, that wall comes up way too quickly. These drivers gonna have that at the top of their mind, because any sort of damage to these cars and they start driving like dump trucks in a hurry. 20 laps already in the books here of the 90 scheduled, so we are rocking and rolling through the race here. 21 cars still on the lead lap. 2 cars out, that of course being the hard hits we saw from Stout and Murdoch. Looks like O'Danny also done as well with that hard hit for caution number 1. Only seeing 2 yellow flags here tonight. As we look at the battle shaping up for this second position, Chris Hammett putting the pressure all over the back bumper of this number 8 machine. As we ride on board with Hammett here, looking at kind of the right side of the car, and you can hear how much these drivers are working that brake, that throttle, and then that steering wheel about how much they want the car yawed, what kind of line they want to run. You can see Hammett enters low, lets the car slide up just a car length to half a car length to that groove, and then tries to run that all the way around here into one. I kind of like Mitchell's line a little bit better, a little bit lower, able to hit this apex, because 1 and 2, even if you're running the bottom, it's still a kind of a double apex. You want to hit at the beginning, let it drift up into the banking, and then kind of hit that yellow line on the exit. As we saw Hammett hit the exit a little bit better, but just barely, not enough of a run, as Hammett's got to be getting sick of seeing that go bowling back bumper of Zach Mitchell. Further on back, Sean Butler, one of those drivers that did do a alternate strategy. Butler, a long time though on pit road, so not sure if he had some damage or something, because spent a lot of time on there. So got those repaired back out here, back up into 6th position, so just outside of the top 5 here, as Troutman losing the spot now to William Kirk, and now to Jeffrey Souza, as Souza, man, trying to go back through the field. So no real change ups inside the top 5, except Sean Single currently running in the 5th position. As we see Troutman lose that spot to Souza, so Troutman now back down to 9th position. So Troutman, after starting on the front row, down to 9th, and you gotta wonder, how much is he saving still? How much does he have left in the tank, and can he give himself enough time? I know it's a long way to the finish, you know, coming up on a third of the way done, but you gotta think, you gotta give yourself a lot of time, not only to reel the car in front of you, let's say, you know, half a second or so, but then the tough part, being able to pass, especially here at Rockingham. It is pretty much, you just got to get that run off the corner and stick a nose to the inside. You are not making too many passes on the top. As we see the number 40 machine of Rob Higgins working over Ken Allen in the 81. So Higgins up into the top 10 here tonight. He is up 13 spots, by far the biggest mover here. Second biggest mover though, going to one of the rookies, William Kirk, in the 9. So most people figuring out the pace they want to run here at the stripe. We have completed up into lap 30 here of the 90. And don't look too far back, but Zach Mitchell and Chris Hammett running some better pace the last couple times than the race leader. So we may have to keep an eye on this, as Mitchell and Hammett closing in on our race leader. They got to decide between each other. Do they want to battle each other, or do they want to work together to at least put some pressure on Terrio? Terrio, of course, looking very good here. And an interesting fact here tonight, James Skelton not here, so we will definitely have a new winner this season. That is season number 17 of the Red Light Racing Scrambler series. So new winner going to lock themselves into the playoffs tonight. Right now, Terrio might be one of the favorites, if not the favorite, unless these guys can get themselves sorted out, as Hammett big time slide off at turn number 4. Able to keep that car on the racing surface, but losing some time to himself. Well, sorry, of course himself on a great lap, but him too, Mitchell and Terrio out in front. Here we go, battle right around the top 10 here. Rob Higgins trying to get around the 9 of Kirk. Kirk must have something going on because he is way off the pace, but he has a lot of company behind us. Right to the back side of the top 10, these guys have closed in the gap, and it is a big gaggle of cars. We might have to zoom out as far as we can go because the likes of Roger Muth, Josh Buckley, Tim Combs, all gonna join the mix here. So Higgins leading this pack, then Allen, Kirk. I totally forgot this 45 machine rocking the Michigan Tech. I like to see that. We got Ben Coltes in the 45 as Muth trying to cut the track a little bit, getting the lefts on the apron. Oh, is one car into the wall down the backstretch. That is the 9 of Kirk. As he will get delegated to the wrong side of the freight train, getting stuck on the top side. Will lose at least 3 spots this lap, if not more. As now Brandon Feeney in that liquid moly number 38 machine gonna try and get some spots. Muth around Coltes for the 11th position, as now Buckley gonna try and do the same exact thing here in 3 and 4. So Buckley down low, Coltes up top. A 45 with a good run, able to sail it into turn number 1, get himself clear. But you got to wonder, every time you sail it pretty hard on that top side, you really kill that right front. As wow, look at that run. We'll look to the inside of Roger, but think better of it back out this time. As now Tim Combs gets around Josh Buckley. So Combs, a man on a mission, back up to P number 13 and looking for some more, as we have developed into a nice long run. After 2 quick yellow flags, we have been clean and green for now coming up the last 30 laps. Battle for second starting to shape back up here. The 6 down low of Hamlet, the 8 up top of Mitchell. They will drag race down the backstretch. Now Hammett has to be careful on this inside, can't overdrive it too much, but it looks like Mitchell will think of the bigger race. He will back out of it, not use up that right front too much. They know they got to sort themselves out if they want a shot at Terrill, who is now up to almost a 2-second advantage over that quick swap. So Hammett's gonna have to see what he has for a long run pace. Terrill could get slowed down here in a matter of time because it looks like lap traffic about a half a track back here from our race leader. So we could see some by the end of it as we get also closer to that halfway mark here on track. We continue to see Kirk slipping in the wrong direction. So I believe Kirk putting this down in the notes in the brain, saying, hey, this was the pace we did here. Just pushing it up probably a little bit too hard initially, now feeling the consequences of that. So a little kind of mental note for next time, as we'll probably get rocking and rolling here pretty soon to our second stint, as these drivers will probably split it up pretty close to the halfway mark. Side by side racing on the Speedway. You can see how tough it is here, as let's ride on board with the 45 of Ben Coltes and see what it's like to try and yank one of these big heavy stock cars now with worn tires around this Rockingham Speedway. And you can hear just how much more these drivers are out of the gas, really working this car, this wheel, because their best race time for Coltes, as you see there, a 25.35, whereas now they're running 26.85, so over a 1.5 seconds fall off. As these guys continue, you can hear Ben working this throttle out of sorts down on the apron. He will try and get that car back up to the racing surface, but it shows you just how much these drivers are working these race cars. It is no easy feat here tonight at Rockingham. Brandon Feeney now trying to work over Jason Wells. We'll jump to that here, but at the stripe, Terriel will see the cross flags halfway down, halfway home in the Checkered Flag Auto Supplies Red Light Race and Scrambler Series race number 2. As we continue to see now a battle heating up. Sean Butler able to get into the top 5, getting around Payne Johnson. Now Johnson trying to get the way back, and here comes Ethan Troutman. Troutman we saw fall all the way back to around the top 10 to save that tire. Now Troutman, a man on a mission. As we see Payne Johnson, the first car down pit road. Sorry, make that second, as Doug Neal already down pit road. So one thing to keep in mind, especially pit road here, it is a very slow 40 miles an hour. Now that might seem pretty slow on its own, but Rockingham is one of the strictest on when it dings you for speeding. So as we see the Ford machine of Jeffrey Souza down on pit road, and you cannot break that speed limit if you even go above 2 miles an hour for even a second down pit road. They will ding you, and that could make a great night go horribly wrong. As we take a look at our race leader trying to dive down pit road, he has the 31 machine of Donald Bennett. They almost make contact. Luckily, some heads up driving from both of them, not able to make contact there. As we head to our new race leader picking up a bonus point, Chris Hammett out in front. He will try and run at least a couple more laps, and I'm surprised we don't see Ethan Troutman continue to run. He really backed up his pace, but I think he saw the masses coming down pit road and says, I got to jump down as well. As we see Chris Hammett down on pit road here on 49. Very, very busy pit road as the cycle has started. Once that first group of 3 came, it was all hands on deck. Everyone getting ready for their one pit stop here tonight. Looks like a few drivers trying to stretch it, one being Tim Combs, Jason Wells, and Brandon Feeney. All 3 of these drivers did pit last lap number 10, so all these drivers will be able to go to about lap 55 to 60. As we see Terriel head down the backstretch, Hammett just getting up to speed. That will be the distance between first and second, and looks like it will come out to be about 3 seconds between them, as both of them spent about the same time on pit road. So I think Terriel might have just been a little bit better under the braking coming to pit road, as he was able to put a little bit more time between them. But you can see the difference in speed. Tim Combs getting passed there by Hammett, and Hammett just drove right on by like the 17 machine sitting on still. It'll be another shot as Mitchell will unlap himself. This time by, though, we see our race leader, Tim Combs, come down pit road. So that will only leave one car left out on track. That is the 38 machine of Brandon Feeney. So Feeney will be the one driver still out on track. Everyone else down on pit road. Looks like most everyone down safely, as I don't see anyone with any sort of speeding penalty or unsafe pit. So everyone here tonight doing a fantastic job at some green flag pit stops. As we look at our driver running currently in the 3rd position, Hammett pitting a lap later than Terriel, both of them running about the same lap time. So Hammett, I think, going for the strategy of, hey, we're going to go take it easy on our stuff here. We're going to go let this one lap advantage tire work its way towards the later end of the run. And I kind of agree with that, as still 45 laps to go. Actually make it 35 if we can do some math here tonight. As further on back, a battle of buddies right out at the cusp of the top 10. Josh Buckley has reeled in the 39 of Roger Muth. These two will drag race now within a car length between each other. As we see Brandon Feeney, our race leader, down on pit road here on 56, coming to 57. Once it all cycles on out, Terriel will take back over tonight's race lead. As you know what, we haven't got a good rear deck shot here, so we're going to jump on board with the driver of this 39 machine, Roger Muth, looking back at Josh Buckley as Buckley gets a better exit off of turn number 2, and you can see just how quickly you can close the gap, whether driving aggressively on in, as we saw in the turn number 3, or really being patient with the car and trying to get a run off exit, as we saw Buckley did last time off of turn number 2. We'll see how he can get through 1 and 2 this time. So Buckley running a little bit higher up at the apex allows a lower exit, but it is definitely going to wear that right front a little bit more than Muth. So both these drivers are going to have to be smart about what strategy they're going for and how it will shake on out. As we see Buckley be able to complete the pass, so that moves Buckley up into the top 9 now for the first time here tonight, as Muth will stay in 10th because Brandon Feeney did come down pit road. So Feeney with the freshest tires of anyone out on track, but all the way back into P number 17. As we take a look at the guy running in second, here is our race leader, Max Terriel, leading the way in the 42 machine, of course. Taking a look here, about a second and a half back, so Hammett closing in the gap. Remember, started at 3 seconds, so Hammett's going to need to keep running this pace, keep notching that gap down lap after lap. Then we jump back about 4.5 seconds back, probably closer to it, to the 8 machine of Zach Mitchell. Then in 4th is the 15 of Peyton Johnson, Jeffrey Souza, and the 4 machine rounding out the top 5. 6th going to the 11 in single. 7th, Ethan Troutman. 8th with a great run so far is the 81 machine of Ken Allen. 9th is Josh Buckley. Buckley hoping for a rebound. Remember, involved in an early yellow to start off the season, so Buckley trying to dig himself out of a hole tonight, doing just that, finding himself in the top 10. And same with this guy. This guy would be very excited for a top 10 here. Couldn't quite figure out the track like he wanted in practice, but finding the race paces, he battles now Jason Wells for that 10th position. Wells will drive on around. Wells about 2 lap newer tires than the 39 machine. Now up into 4th position, battle between these two. Souza behind on the attack, Johnson on the defense, up in front. And then a little bit of extra spice, we have the 38 machine of Brendan Feeney trying to unlap himself right behind as well. So Terriel at the line will pick up 25 to go. So into the countdown clock on the left side of your screen. And I say we haven't thrown it up here tonight, and with the field being spread out with this green flag run, let's get a little view of a nice track map. See where your favorite driver is running out on the speedway. So with the track map, whatever car we are looking at will be highlighted in that lime green. Currently looking at the 15 machine of Peyton Johnson. But you can see relative where the rest of the field is at, what cars are running in what group, how much they are battling here. As Peyton Johnson now going to be under fire from two cars, as now Sean Single in this number 11 machine has joined into this battle here. So it is going to be an intense battle for a top 5 finish by the end of this one. So Single has the best tires of the drivers in front of him. Each car kind of going down is a lap better on tires, so we will have to see how it shakes on out. Or as Sean sometimes is called, we got 2 cent Single out here in the number 11 machine, so I like that. Of course, part of that 4X Racing, he does have 4 red light wins to his name. Of course, big fan of NASCAR racing, and the number kind of gives it away who might be his favorite driver is. That is right, the number 11 machine of Denny Hamlin. He really likes the look of the Ford Mustangs, of course, running one here tonight with the Xfinity cars. Really a big fan of Bristol, so looks like we don't have Bristol on the schedule this season, so if we get a chance to talk to him sometime, we'll have to ask him what track he is looking most forward to. Speaking about points, we have a little bit of them. You know, we have, I believe, Full Throttle Racing leading the way in the team points. Then Empire 6 Alliance in second. Third in points will be that 4X Racing. Fourth is Echo Hawk Motorsports. Then fifth is Beefy Motorsports, Rev Esports, tied with fifth. Then Need for Speed in seventh, tied with the Celeratus team. And then finally rounding out the bottom of the teams is the Simbox Racing. So that's how we said after race number 1 with the team points. But right there we saw Sean Single able to get up into fifth. We'll get around that Payne Johnson. Here comes Ethan Troutman as well. Troutman very fast compared to those cars in front of him. So Troutman going to be a man on a mission. And don't look too far, folks. As you see in the top of the scoring here tonight, Chris Hammett has closed the gap to about half a second to our race leader. So we will jump over to that if that gets any closer, because we can see Ethan Troutman ripping the top side of 1 and 2. Troutman says it's go time. Doesn't care what this car feels like here in 17 laps. He says we're turning it up here. So we'll have to see if the cars in front of him end up pushing to the end, or if he will try and make some moves and hang on to this race car, because we still got 16 laps of racing left. Just under 16 miles of racing, as well as Rockingham is 7/8 mile speedway. You can tell a very difficult one to drive with the tire wear, the bumps, and the speed that these corners can have. Of course, these ends driving very differently as well, just to throw a little extra wrench into you. As we see a battle for fourth here, Souza up top, Single trying to get a nose to the inside. Not quite there. Here comes Ethan Troutman with a run. Troutman will fill in the gap on the top side. They will drag race to turn number 3. Single will send it in there deep. Has a shorter distance, but here comes Troutman with the run on the top. This will determine it right here. How hard does Sean Single dive it down in there? Not too deep into the corner that time for Single, so that will give Troutman 5th. Now back into the top 5 for the first time here tonight. He sets his sights on Jeffrey Souza, as Souza now running the top. Gonna have to make Troutman try that bottom. Further on back, we see Brandon Feeney best car on tires, able to get up to P number 13. So we'll have to see if he can race his way into the top 10, right around half a second faster compared to the cars around him. So he is definitely a man on a mission. Just how many more spots can he get? Because he only has 12 more laps of racing action left. Out in front, Max Theriault leading the way over Chris Hammett. Hammett falling back just that little bit, now back to half a second behind. As with this battle kind of keeping the same, we have to head back to that 5th place battle here tonight. As Souza was able to defend from Troutman. Now Troutman under fire for a second from Sean Single. As Souza had to make big time evasive maneuvers to the 31 machine. I thought Souza might have gotten into the wall. No, he had to make evasive maneuvers, and that caused the rest of them to have to make some quick moves. As this time by the field, we'll see 10 laps to go. Next time by will be single digits to go. But luckily, man, that was a heck of some heads-up driving from these three, as I'm sure Troutman had little to no visibility of that, able to make the move to not bring out a yellow flag here late or even ruin his or someone else's race. Here we see the 40 machine of Rob Higgins trying to get his lap back. Higgins pitted just a few laps ago, I believe on lap 72. So he will be able to drive around these cars pretty easy on the inside lane, having those fresher tires, able to keep that car loaded up and on the bottom side here tonight. The wild thing though is they're going to be lapping here William Kirk in the 9 machine. Now where does Kirk go? As it looks like he will stick to the top side. That would make Souza go down low, and if Troutman can time it right, Troutman will have a big run. As, oh man, whew, Souza slid up right in front of the nose of Kirk. That had Troutman checking up at the apex. Same with Single, but now Souza having himself a little bit more breathing room over the two. Still trying to figure out the order behind. So Troutman will defend and hang on to that last top 5 spot of 5th. Out in front, Theriault looks like turning back up the pace, as now down to 0.6 of a second. Is Hammett make that now 7? Currently best battles on track is this, and then Roger Muth getting around Ken Allen. So these guys, of course, fighting to stay on the lead lap, as Theriault right behind these guys as well. So Theriault this time by, we'll see the high 5 of the flagman. That's right, folks, only 5 more laps to go around the Rockingham Speedway. Here for 5th, almost some contact there. Sean Single, Jeffrey Souza leaning on each other, maybe just a little. Here with 5 laps to go. This is where we got to keep the battle on. It is, gloves are off between these two. They are going to race each other hard, because they know they got a nice spot, a good amount of points on hand here, battling inside of the top 5. Souza trying to hold on to it. As these guys will continue to race nose to tail, but no real advantage. These guys driving the wheels off these race cars, trying to hope one of them makes a mistake. So far, everyone hanging on to it. Out in front though, Max Theriault leading the way. Then Chris Hammett in some big time lap traffic here. Then 3rd, Zach Mitchell kind of on his own island. Then 4th, 5th, and 6th right here, almost 3 wide here. This time by for the race leader, already saw it, but these guys will see it now. Popsicle sticks in the air. 2 laps to go around the Rockingham Speedway. These guys about a quarter of a lap behind. We're going to keep an eye on the timing and scoring, but right now Souza leading the way. Single second car in this group, Troutman in third. We'll see if it finishes that way because it is the Feeney Call. 1 lap to go. Max Theriault, first one to see the white felt one more time around the Rockingham Speedway for the driver of the 42 machine. If he can pick it up, he will add another win to the stat line off of turn number 4. Max Theriault will win at the Rockingham Speedway. He will come away with the win through 3 and 4. It's going to be a drag race for P number 4. Souza up top. He gets loose. That will open the door for single. He will get it. Souza will just hang on to 5th as Troutman finishes 1,000th of a second just behind us. Souza definitely got some wheel spin to the end, but able to hang on to 5th. But the man of the hour, Max Theriault, will pick up now career win number 51. So Theriault, being the winningest driver in this series, will pick up another one and increase that lead now up to a whopping 52, as we'll see him burning on down on the front stretch, or maybe just a Polish victory lap. We will have to see. As we see Theriault roll it to the front stretch here, probably parking it at the start finish line. We're going to go to commercial break. On the other side, we will talk to our top 3. So don't go anywhere. We got the Claws Up Charters post-race show coming up here. Alrighty, folks, we come back here tonight for the Claws Up Charters post-race show. First one we'll be talking to is our 3rd place finisher, the number 8 machine of Zach Mitchell. Zach, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here. Alrighty, man. So last week, just finishing outside of the top 3. Now tonight, able to walk away with a podium finish. I mean, that's some pretty good consistent running so far with the definitely different driving styles we saw the last 2 weeks. How are you feeling after week number 2 here at the Rock?
It feels pretty good. I'm glad that one's over. I'm super sore now. My hands hurt, but a lot better than expected. It's not one of my better tracks, but when you follow Max around in practice and for majority of the race, you'll learn a couple things, which helped.
Yeah, I was going to say, this race, 90 laps, doesn't seem like a long distance, but man, out in track, I talked a lot tonight how demanding this track is, and how was it inside the car. I mean, I guess it kind of depends how much force feedback you're running, but you can get a workout very quickly at a place like this.
Oh yeah, and if it's really mentally straining too, because you really can't relax on the straightaways. The straightaways are just as bumpy as the corners, so if you have a lapse in concentration down the straightaway, you're fishtailing all the way down the straightaway and trying to catch it. So it takes a lot to do this track.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it. So Zach here tonight with the 3rd place. I mean, you mentioned you learned a little bit from Max. What'd you pick up on that helped you have some great race pace when it came around to it to finish where you ended up?
Oh, just kind of the lines he was running and the braking points. I noticed in practice when we started going in the race, I was braking a lot later than he was. So I kind of backed the braking points off to where he was, and that seemed to help the tire wear later in the run, which helps on the longer run. But he obviously was better than that still, as he pulled away towards the end of that first run. So.
Yeah, Zach, and tonight, 2 quick yellows early on. I mean, what do you think you needed a little bit more of to this 8 machine to try and reel in those top 2?
I'd probably just need another caution there at the end. I know the short run pace I was really quick. I was right with Max or even faster sometimes. It's just that long run, just the super long run pace, the full fuel run pace just wasn't there tonight.
Gotcha. Well, man, so far starting off a great kind of string of the season, 2 top 5s. That's got to have you pretty excited, as I believe next week we go to Kern County, so another kind of shorter track. How do you feel about that place, especially in the trucks?
I actually will not be here next week. I have prior commitments, but I hopefully will be watching the broadcast after it's all done, and I'm sure I'll hear about it from the teammates. But I will be back in 2 weeks for sure.
Alrighty, well, I gotta ask, first time talking to you here in the post-race part of the Claws Up Charters. I gotta ask, Zach, what is your sim setup like? What are you looking at? What are you using to steer the car and to tell it to go fast or go slow?
I got a Fanatic DD1 base with the NASCAR wheel. I got a triple monitor set up, and the rig is a Track Racer T120. So I went a little overboard on it, but it beats my Deskin GT27 setup from like 4 years ago. So it's definitely worth it. I love it. Getting me out of it's a hard, I don't ever want to get out of it. So my wife doesn't like that, but she deals with it.
Yeah, I like to tell people, once that adrenaline and that feeling of being in the race car, you can't get rid of that feeling ever. Once you have it, you're pretty much addicted to it.
Oh yeah, and the most thing that I like about this is it it costs a lot of money to get it, but unlike real racing, every time you wreck, you don't have to pay money to fix it.
Exactly, yeah, and especially with the prices of some stuff in real life racing, it's like, man, even to go out there and fix it is expensive, and just to even race. But alrighty, Zach, it was great pleasure talking to you. I'm sure we'll be talking to you again. And you have yourself a great rest of the night. But before we let you go, I'm going to go hand over the mic to you and thank who you got to thank, either at home watching the stream or, of course, who's on the car to bring this thing home on a podium position.
Yeah, I can't thank Josh and James and Richard, the admins, enough putting on such a great league. We have really good competitors here on Mondays. Thanks to you, Brett, and Roger for putting on the broadcast for us. Shout out to the Rich D PC for putting together my PC for me, since I'm not capable of doing that myself with my brain that would have no idea how to do that. So thanks to him for allowing me to run, because without the computer I wouldn't be here.
Alrighty, man. Well, those PC builders, just like real life race car builders, are important factors to having you run good. So, Zach, you have yourself a great rest of the night, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you again here in the future.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brett.
Alrighty, that was our third place finisher, Zach Mitchell. Now we'll head over to our runner-up finisher, that being the 6 machine of Chris Hammett. Chris, do you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Hey, what's going on, Brett?
Not too much. How are you feeling? 90 laps around Rockingham, no time to rest. How are you feeling after that one?
My hands hurt, that's for sure. I feel like if I had a better start, I might have had something for Max there. I feel like I might have had one getaway there. But good to run second. If I'm gonna run second to anybody, it's gonna be Max. Dude's the best we got. He's a machine out there. So really there, just last run, trying to run him down to make a little bit of a race out of it, making having to work for it a little bit. So hopefully it was entertaining to watch. Hopefully I made him sweat, even if it was for a couple laps. But just didn't have the tires there at the end. He was able to save some where I had to push that whole last run. So didn't work out. Would like to see one more caution, because you never know. But hey, we'll take second. Really good start to the year, back-to-back top 5. So we'll take that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to talk about next. 2 top 5s in a row. Of course, last week finishing 5th at Phoenix. Tonight talking with me in the runner-up spot. So a nice consistent start to start the season, let's say, and that's the way you want to do it. Take a little bit of pressure off the back.
Yeah, it's nice to build that points gap. for the cutoff for the playoff. Would have been a little nicer to snag one more spot and get that lock in. But we'll run it back again next week. But really happy with the speed to start the year. Clean races, that's the main thing, especially when these races go green for long stretches, just to be smooth on and off pit road, no penalties, no dumb stuff like that. So if we can keep that up, we'll be in a good spot here. Hopefully we can grab a win here before the playoffs start. But feeling pretty good about our season started.
Yeah, like you said, a great way to start it, nice and consistent. I like to always say, especially if I'm talking to the broadcaster after every race, I'm doing something right in that season. As Chris, looking forward to the season though, what tracks do you maybe have scheduled or maybe X'd out with definitely the Scrambler season with the different tracks and car combos?
Well, Martinsville is a place that I look forward to. Ran good there in the past, just haven't quite had the finishes to show for it. I do like the short track, so we'll see what we do next week when we go to Kern. Haven't run there yet, so we'll see what we can do there. Circuit of the Americas is something that I was really hoping to get this lock in tonight, so I could just take that weekend off. But I'll lean on my road course extraordinaire teammate Zach Mitchell for Coda. But we got a tough schedule. It's always a tough schedule. It's always a very interesting schedule. We'll see what we can do here. Hopefully we can keep this going. Get back into the playoffs. Haven't missed a playoff yet, so got to keep that streak alive and see if we can get one more.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, a win would definitely take all the weight off your shoulders, lock you into the playoffs, take all the stress off with the regular season of no matter what track we're going to. But you definitely showed some great pace here tonight. I think you came off of pit roads about 3 seconds back from Theriault and was able to run it down so close, just to a half second. But I think at that point, like you said, used up your stuff trying to close that gap.
Yeah, and if there's one thing Max is good, well, there's a lot of things Max is good at. He's really fast and he's really good on tires. He knows how to get that car on a long run. Beating Max on long run speed is a really, really, really hard thing to do. Like I said, he's pretty sure he's the all-time wins leader. He's probably got all-time championships. He's all-time everything. So there's a reason why he wins as many races as he does, as many championships as he does. It's because he's really, really good. So just burned him up there trying to close the gap. But I was determined to have to make him work for it a little bit. I wasn't just gonna ride there and let him walk away from me. So we'll take second. Second sucks, but we'll take it, and we'll move on to next week.
Yep, for sure. Continue this momentum, as even though second isn't, you always want to finish one more spot better once you get there. But having the momentum of 2 top 5s gotta be helpful to the cause. Well, Chris, first time interviewing you in the Claws Up Charters post race. I gotta ask. I always like to ask you a little insight from the drivers. What are you looking at for your sim setup? What do you have for wheel and pedals combo?
Oh boy, well you're gonna talk to the bare bones guy right here. I do have Fanatec pedals. That's the nicest thing that I have. I have a old Thrustmaster wheel that I bought off of Facebook. I have a computer that will run iRacing, and that is about it. And I have a tiny one-screen monitor, so that is on a desk. So you're looking at the bare bones guy right here. So just imagine what I could do with with some nicer stuff. I'd be unstoppable.
Exactly, Chris. You're showing us, it's not all about these fancy thousands and thousands of dollar setups. You can go out here, run pretty good, but like you mentioned there, you got to always wonder a little bit in the back of your mind, what if you did have 3 screens for battling or stuff like that?
Yeah, it's a goal for sure to upgrade some of this stuff. Unfortunately, real life. I have this wedding coming up in December that I gotta pay some money for, or at least that's at least what my fiance tells me. I don't know. But maybe one day we get a little bit fancier stuff here in my little corner of the room. But for right now, this is what we're working with. But you know what? This led us to a championship. It's won some big road races. So we'll keep working on her.
There you go. All I gotta say is, especially with winning some championships of that, at least you gotta save your wheel once you upgrade. You can throw out the base or whatever, but you at least gotta save the wheel for some memories. But Chris, awesome talking to you here tonight. We're gonna go let you get wrapped on up here in just 1 second. But before that, I'm sure there's some people you gotta thank either on the car or watching at home, and probably some people that let you do the sim racing as well.
Yeah, we definitely have to start off with my awesome fiance, Ashley, who is definitely standing outside this door listening to make sure I thank her. So, gotta thank her. Shout out to all the guys at 4X Racing with Zach, Sean Single, and Ryan. Sucks Ryan had kind of a short night tonight. But we all showed speed here these opening weeks. So appreciate all those guys for all their help. Shout out to you, Brett, and everybody at Turn 3 for broadcasting this stuff. Josh, Richard, and Skelton for admin in this league. It's really fun. Great group of guys. Great schedule. I love doing this stuff on Monday nights. Always shout out to the One Time Burger Bar and Grill. I won one championship, and I'll never let anybody forget it. Just again, congrats to Max. Said there's no shame in running second to him, so congrats to him, and we'll try to do one spot better next week.
Alrighty, Chris. Well, awesome stuff talking with you here. Appreciate the insight, and yeah, man, keep up the good work, keep up this pace, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you some more in the coming weeks. Chris, you have yourself a great rest of the night.
Thanks, man. You too.
Alrighty, folks. Well, Chris Hammett, our runner-up finisher here tonight. Now we will head one spot better and talk to the man of the hour. That, of course, being Max Terrialt in the 42 machine. Max, do you got a copy to spread the jet in the booth here?
I got you.
Alrighty, man. Well, congrats on the win here at Rockingham. This a very tough car track combo, but you string it all together. Quick time here tonight, picking up your first win of this season. How was the car, and how did you find this much pace, especially in the long run?
Yeah, this track is always a handful, and with this car and I don't know, this shock package or spring package, I felt like I needed to be on top of the wheel, even on the back stretch where the back end could get loose and point straight at the outside wall. So it was it was a workout, and in the long run, consistency really paid off. I was able to run 3 and 4 really good. My focus tonight was to get a good entry point in 3 because that's where I could gain or lose the most, and I hit it very consistently. So yeah, the results came with it, so I'm really happy about that.
Yeah, and I bet you are, because not only do you pick up another win for you, that makes it 51 for you, in case you were keeping track of that or anything like that. But taking the weight off your shoulders, now can run the rest of the regular season probably at least a little bit more carefree, now that you are locked in and going to be fighting for a championship when that time comes around later this year.
Yeah, I still have the mentality that next week I still want to do my best, and if I have a shot at the win, I'll try my best. But yeah, the next 3 or 4 races, they're gonna be tricky. I know we got some short tracks coming next week, and in a few weeks Martinsville, and then the road course at Texas. So of course, getting a win early in the season is a bonus, and then we still hope for clean racing, even if we go short track racing in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I tell you what, Max, can't ask for too much more of a season, averaging the second finishing spot. Of course, talking with us week number 1, finishing 3rd, and then tonight parking it down in victory lane. I mean, with the Scrambler series, it provides the challenge of going to different cars at different tracks each and every week, but you, man, one of the more consistent guys, no matter what, it seems like you jump in, are pretty quick. I mean, how do you adapt when it comes into each week? Is it just good amount of practice, or do you just have a good game plan going into each night?
Well, the Sunday night practice is where I get most of my information for either a new setup, new season where it can drive differently. From what I remember, like tonight, it felt pretty much the same as the last time we came here with that car and this track at this track. So it was quicker to pick up the pace back, but definitely a Sunday night, that's where I get my fuel runs, that's where I get my tire wear, and that's where I can compare to what the field's running. So it means a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I tell you what, if you can get some kind of quote unquote race practice, it does tenfold when it comes down to race time because, like you kind of mentioned, really get to know what the car's feeling like, especially on those longer runs and racing around cars. I know a lot of people can be pretty quick, let's say, when it comes to one lap pace on their own, but I think the magic is, can you be quick in a group of cars?
Yeah, exactly. When you get some practice runs or a practice race like we do, that's the time to experiment things and you find the limit. You see where guys are stronger or where you need to improve. So it's worth a lot. And some tracks are more technical than others, like tonight. So sometimes it's just about finding that entry point that's maybe a tire width difference, but it gets a tenth or two consistently. That's what I learned in turn 3 tonight.
Alrighty, well, awesome stuff, Max. Once again, talking to you here, always a great time. And I tell you what, I think we'll be talking to you at least a couple more times before it's all said and done and wrap this thing on up. But here tonight, down in Victory Lane, Max, I'm sure there's got to be a good amount of people you got to thank either on the car or watching at home to bring this thing down for win number 1 of the season for you.
Yeah, I always have my regular group of people. My fiance, my friend Max at Maxim Knitting. I know he's down in Columbus, so shout out to him. And my dad. And a shout out to you, Brett, for the broadcast tonight. It's always fun to see that they're live on YouTube. And as always, Josh, James, and Richard for making this Monday Night League possible. Checkered Flag Auto Supply being on board for this title sponsor. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. I think it's at Current Speedway. So yeah, short track, new track for us, I think. So we'll see you guys there.
Yep, it's going to be a fun one. Kern County and the trucks. Whoo-wee. And Max, I think I at least got your last name at least a little bit closer this time around. So when you rewatch it, hopefully it's a little bit closer for you.
Okay, if it gets me win, that's good.
Exactly. Well, Max, so far it's 1-for-1. At least I believe saying your name closer. So we'll keep it up. We'll see if you can keep up this streak. But Max, you have yourself a great rest tonight. Go celebrate down in Victory Lane. I'll go get wrapped up in the booth and we'll join you on after.
All right, thank you, man.
Alrighty, folks, that was Max Terriel down from Victory Lane here tonight at the Rockingham Speedway, picking up his first win of the season and locking him and James Skelton into those playoffs. So running down tonight's finishing order, we have Max Terriel picking up the win in second, going to the 6 of Chris Hammett. Third is the 8 machine of Zach Mitchell. Fourth is Sean Single in the 11. Rounding out the top 5 is Jeffrey Souza in the 4. Finishing P number 6 is the 62 of Ethan Troutman. 7th going to Payne Johnson in the 15th. Then the 64 Jason Wells will finish 8th. 9th going to the 13 of Josh Buckley. And rounding out the top 10 will be the 17 of Tim Combs. Bringing it home, P11 is the 39 of Roger Muth. Then the 81 of Ken Allen will finish 12th. 13th going to the 38 of Brandon Feeney. Then Ben Coltes in the 45 finishing 14th. Then rounding out the top 15, William Kirk in the 9. 16th going to Tony Strano in the 3. 17th is Rob Higgins in the 40. The 31 car of Donald Bennett will finish 18th. 19th going to Bob Higgins. And then 20th will be the 77 of Doug Neal. Then the 88 of Sean Butler will finish 21st. Eric Stout in the 12 will be 22nd. 23rd is Richard Murdoch in the 01. 24th is Ryan O'Danny in the 98. And that will do it for the starting lineup. So, folks, that will be it from Racing Action here tonight. This will wrap up the Claws Up Charters post-race show. Thanks again for all you guys tuning on in here. Really appreciate each and every one of you tuning on to Turn 3 Racing Network here on the Monday nights. Be sure to tune in throughout the week as we have a lot of great racing both Wednesday, Thursday night with these guys, Tuesday nights, a lot of great racing action to be covered on the Turn 3. So if you got a fixin' for some sim racing action, be sure to check out Turn 3. Of course, got to thank all the guys here in the league putting on the show for us to enjoy. And of course, the sponsors that make it happen. That, of course, being Checkered Flag Auto Supplies, Celeratus Legal, the Feeney Call, and Claws Up Charters. Like I mentioned before, if you want to find out more information about this league, be sure to look them up with Red Light Racing on the the Google, and that will get you in the right direction. Also, be sure to, if you can, support Turn 3. If you run any official stuff, open setup stuff, be sure to check out in the description. We have a link to some premier setups as they have come on board, partnered with Turn 3, and it has been a good partnership. So if you can show them some support, it would be greatly appreciated. But that will do it for me. I've been Brett the Jet from Turn 3 Racing Network here tonight, bringing you the action as we get ready. These drivers are already thinking about a little bit. Next week, March 18th, these drivers will go to Kern County in the trucks for 150 laps. That will be a fun one to watch. You won't want to miss it. So everyone take care. Have a great week, and we will catch you on the flip side. I'm Brett the Jet, and I just flew by you. Have a good one.